Yeah, so ILC is an all-in-one solution for core curricula. So you think math, English, science, etc. It's for curriculum authors to author content, teachers and students to use it, and for assessment and data insights. Yeah, a big place to start is what your customers are asking for or what they need. You look at things like if they have a request for proposal or information and they have stated what they're looking for in terms of interoperability, that can be a good place to start. Also entering into the worlds of your end users and figuring out what are the products that they use day in and day out, and how does our product integrate with those options. Sure. I think it starts with probably being really clear about what data everyone is capturing between districts and application partners and how secure it needs to be. Right now, there's a lot of laws or requirements out there that I think go a little too far in terms of tagging everything as secure, when there really are different levels of severity in terms of, if this were leaked or if this were in the hands of someone else. And so I think we need to start by being clear, like what is personal information versus what is user data versus what is telemetry data or data exhaust from using products. Once you've identified your information and what level of security it requires, I think then just deciding which either APIs or what protocols should we use, when data is in transit or when it's at rest in systems to keep it secure, and then be clear about who within your company or who within your customer actually should have access to that data. So just at a high level, it's just really good rules around authorization and authentication to make sure that the right people are seeing the right data at the right time rather than just letting everyone see it. Yeah. First is to get educated on your niche market, right? There's a lot. Education is a very broad term. And so there's pre-K all the way through higher ed to professional learning. And so understanding that market really clearly, what are the requirements and the standards that my particular market has in the K-12 space where I work, looking at a lot of one EdTech standards like LTI, Common Cartridge, One Roster, and then figuring out how do we get the most return on our investment. If we build an integration to service a customer, how can we reuse that with multiple customers? So in our case, that involved working with one company called Clever, because they have a proprietary API that we integrate with, but then they have open integration, open standard integrations with things like One Roster, and a large number of districts and schools in the industry utilize the standards that it can work with. And another one called Single Integration that we use for LMS integrations, because we need to have a system that is LTI compliant in our industry, and yet needs to integrate with different flavors of LTI implementations. And so Single Integration allows us to integrate once with them through these open standards, and then they can have their system then work with multiple other versions or flavors of LTI when you integrate with different LMSs. It's kind of like deciding whether or not to invest in a company, right? We've all seen Shark Tank or heard about Y Combinator, and one, you need to understand the team. Who are the people behind this endeavor? What's their track record? What's their expertise? Are we convinced that these people can be good partners? And are they clear enough about who they are, what their value proposition is, where they're planning to go? And how nimble will they be to adjust to our needs over time as our needs evolve? And a lot of times I try to get into those conversations at the outset so that we can start talking about our shared future together, even if it's not fully clear. I want clear definition on how much can you adjust from where you are today, and what's it going to cost us in terms of time and money to continue utilizing you in the future as we have growing need. Yeah. So Project Unicorn brings together people from different aspects of or perspectives of the market. So you've got folks who are representing applications like me, folks who are representing integration partners, districts, and standards bodies who actually are the folks writing the technical standards for data interop. And the reason why it's helpful is because we come with differing perspectives often. And so we need a safe place where we can be vulnerable and talk about differing perspectives, to share about what we're learning as we see things work and not work out in the field, because no idea in a vacuum is going to work. You have to see it meet reality and pivot from there. So being able to just exchange how we're seeing these things unfold, how we're seeing them benefit all the people that we're trying to serve, just provides a great medium for us to figure out how to improve the standards that we are trying to leverage. It's how we use the data that is being secured and being shared. The education technology industry is a good decade or more behind on things like this. And if you've ever had that experience where you go to Facebook and you see an advertisement and you think, oh my gosh, I was just talking about this topic with my friend the other day. You think your phone is listening to you, but it's not, right? It's humans are much more alike than not. We like to think we're all unique. We are, and yet it's very possible to predict people and their interests and their trajectory based on data. And I think that there's a tremendous opportunity for companies to not just capture data and sit on it or provide it to customers or leaders, but to figure out how to do things like predictive analytics or figure out student trajectories or entire classroom trajectories, not just to be a scorecard, but to actually help humans see patterns and to understand where they need to focus their attention, right? If a teacher in high school has multiple classrooms, she's going to have dozens of students. And so being able to see patterns amongst her students will allow her to know where she needs to invest her energies. And I think that that's really critical during a moment where we have teacher shortages or teachers are overwhelmed or they have too many administrative tasks to do. If we are able to do the administrative work of looking at the data and helping them see insights out of patterns, that should really enable them to make the most impact they can. And so I'm excited about the possibility for products like ours to help people see those insights and to equip them to make decisions as humans so that they can help these students. I don't think we're anywhere close to technology replacing teachers, which is really good. And teachers seem to know, ultimately what's best. But if we could just help them with that administrative work, I think it'll make work not just easier, but more delightful.